It's a little embarrassing to admit, but my co-founder and I are still trying to collect payment for a freelance project we worked on together in 2018. Multiple legal letters and one SaaS startup later, and we're still out about $6,000. Coincidentally, that's the amount that the average freelancer misses out on each year due to unpaid invoices. And it's not just because of bad clients, though that's part of it. It's because the way we work is changing. We used to climb corporate ladders, but increasingly independent professionals are swinging from project to project, more like a jungle gym. Work and the workforce is more flexible than ever before, but our tools and processes for managing that work haven't caught up. Project management platforms are made for internal teams, not external collaboration. Administrative software and billing software is rigid. It doesn't accommodate projects with scopes that can change on the dime. And the all-in-one platforms used for freelancers and solopreneurs don't do anything any differently. They just smash all of the subpar capabilities together into one tool. The problem is, none of these platforms solve for true freelancer pain points, like late payments and scope creep. And they don't address clients' top concerns about transparency and timely invoicing either. Freelance marketplace platforms try to solve some of these problems, but they're really made to find work, not manage it. Plus, they're prohibitively expensive, charging freelancers between 10 and 20% of everything they earn. Ditto is a better way to manage outsourced projects, built to meet the needs of contractors and their clients. Our approach is inspired by agile development methodology, which promotes strong working relationships and nimble planning in order to achieve better outcomes. It's different in a number of ways. First, a dynamic online portal replaces static contracts. That means no more change orders or amendments or exhibits. Instead, users just add or edit phases as the project goes along if necessary. And if a working relationship isn't working, it's easy to walk away. Second, we hold payments in escrow. That means that freelancers are assured not only that they'll be paid, but that they'll be paid promptly as soon as a phase of work is complete. This also mitigates risk for clients, no more unsecured deposits. Finally, we automate away much of the admin. We handle all of the invoices, the notifications, and even those pesky 1099 tax forms as a third-party settlement organization. Well, we can certainly go much broader. There are 27 million or 57 million freelancers in the US after all. Our initial target is creatives, developers, designers, and marketers who are already working in this phased approach with their clients. We know these techie high-end contractors very well because we have our own experiences. We are these people, and we have an extensive network through the VCU Brand Center. Even before launch, we began to gain traction with these people. Our early prototype version netted 6 active users, and now that our platform is live, we're ramping up for massive growth. We know this is not the perfect hockey stick graph that typically wins pitch competitions, but this represents a lot of learning. We've been at it for over 2 years, starting valuable conversations, learning what the market needs and wants, and driving people to our website by showing that we're solving real problems. Honestly, we were a little surprised that anyone even signed up for our prototype. It was a super janky Airtable Zapier mashup designed by marketers, and it was in no way scalable. But that's startup life. It served its purpose, and that's why we're so excited about where we are right now. We launched our V1 platform just 3 weeks ago. This is a look at what the next few years look like in terms of users and revenue. We're optimistic, but we're also financially conservative. These numbers assume $5,000 of transactions running through the platform per freelancer each month, on which Ditto takes a 2% transaction fee. We do not charge anything for a monthly subscription fee, but we do anticipate delivering a premium version of the product at a later time. Our vision for the future is ambitious, and for this product is ambitious. The way we work is changing, and it's time that our tools and processes caught up. Our team is stacked with experience in product, marketing, and engineering. we're doing this. We've been at it for 2 years. It's already been a grind, and we know we're just getting started. We would really appreciate your help. Claire and I are VCU Brand Center grads, and we're so excited by all of this blossoming startup ecosystem here at VCU. We would love to be a part of it. Thank you for the opportunity.
So we will now have our judges be able to ask questions that they may have for Liz and for Ditto. So that would be also 5 minutes. Like to start.
Hi, thank you so much for presenting today. I'm just curious, how are you driving your customers and monetizing that?
So most of the efforts getting people to our website so far have been very boots on the ground. Like there are lots of Facebook groups, freelancing females is a big one. And we just find threads where people are talking about invoicing or challenges with contracts and say, hey, we're doing this thing. We had this problem too. And that's how we're getting people to the website. The monetization is entirely through the transaction fees on any work that runs through the platform.
Could you talk a little bit about the competitive landscape and, potentially competitive, companies that maybe exist in this space in Europe?
Sure. There are a few competitors. There's one called Deal that went through YC a few years ago, just raised a bunch of money, like a $5 billion valuation. They're primarily focused on some of the overseas freelancers and helping companies have a stable of international freelancers and dealing with compliance issues there. We really see our focus as being the higher end freelancers who get most of their work through word of mouth. Like that's what we've found is that there are the most high end freelancers tend to get all of their work from referrals. They really don't need the marketplace element. Upwork does have a part of the platform that they call Bring Your Own Talent. So it is very similar to Ditto, where you can have the escrow functionality, but without the marketplace component, but they still charge the same amount. So really, I think a lot of it has to do with our niche, and we feel like we have a really good understanding of the emotions involved in the client and client contractor relationship and the balance of power issues there. So that's part of why, for example, we don't charge clients the payment processing fee. Some of the competitors do that as well. But escrow is really the key differentiator. And again, that does happen in a few other platforms, but none is exactly the same way.
So are the clients putting all the money on project or?
Not all of the money. We advocate for a phased approach. So typically, you might start with a discovery phase, then move on to your wireframing, and then move on to design. So it is right now. It's not uncommon for clients to put money in as a deposit and then pay like the 50% upfront and 50% at the end. So instead, they would be splitting the project into more regular and consistent payments, which means it's their bottom line, more spread out for them, but it's also a more consistent payment experience.
But are the clients like
Yes. Yes. The part of what they really like is the ability to walk away. So you're not committing to, like, say it's a big web design project, for example, and you get in there and you discover that you wish you hadn't chosen this particular resource. It's not working out so well. You're not contractually obligated to you're only paying for the work.
And so you said with your client or with your customer acquisition right now, is it strictly just reaching out to these groups? Are you incentivizing your existing?
Yes, we've been pretty quiet right now because we have basically a closed beta. We, as I said, just launched the P1 of the platform a few weeks ago. But we're looking forward to get it as soon as we are feeling a little more confident that everything is working the way it should be. We'll be getting a lot louder with marketing and doing things with referral and affiliate programs and that sort of thing. We hope the word of mouth will be a huge driver for us. We're also working on kind kind of start, like, we see this as almost a movement that needs to be started. It's about changing the payment processes and norms, not just getting people to use the platform.
Do you have any thoughts on what you just said about changing?
Yes. I mean, that's our big, very audacious goal is, you know, to someday not just report freelancers and clients, but like all the way the way that agencies work, with the 3 layers of freelancer and client. We have started a community, and we are trying to build up, and we provide resources to freelancers to help them have conversations with clients about what the advantages are for clients. The tax forms is actually a real benefit. And we could see partnering with like the freelancers union. There are, for example, an advocate for freelancers' rights. In a lot of ways, it is a kind of fairness issue.
No, I don't. Liz, I want to make sure it's Spyro. Spyro Inc. No. Did I? No. I know. Oh, it's there. I see what happened. Oh, I see really what happened. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. So.
All right, our second finalist is going to be Victoria. This is a concept for a virtual tour streaming service that allows users to easily find tours provided by museums and similar institutions. These services will be provided to users for either subscription fees or a donation to a partner museum. On the back end, Virtuarium will provide museums with resources like rental 3D equipment, software tutorials, and in-person aid to assist them in developing and maintaining their virtual tours and events. So let's welcome School of World Studies alumna Erica Edens with Virtuarium.
Jump right into it. So this concept was come up with as part of my user experience design certificate capstone, and so I was looking for a problem to solve. And I found out that during the pandemic, the American Alliance of Museums found that 15% of museums felt that they were at high risk of closure due to the financial burden of the pandemic. And many museums started trying to create tours, but they were really hard to discover, so much so that a lot of teachers and educators were creating these Google forms to try to curate them all in one place. So to be able to find them, and they varied in degrees of quality. If you're a bigger institution, you might have camera crew come in. If you weren't, you might be filming on your cell phone doing, Facebook Live and things like that. That matter. And even without the pandemic happening, a lot of museums and educators can't always make it. A lot of patrons can't always make it to the museum. So the solution was to come up with a website that allows users to reach audiences, museums to reach audiences, generate museum revenue, and provide a consistent experience for audiences. So research has been done already. I wanted to find out, how has COVID affected people? 87% of people said they were not able to make it to a museum in the past year. Additionally, I wanted to know what makes a good museum tour. A lot of people said they really just enjoyed having self-guided experiences so that they learned new, but in the virtual space, they wanted or needed free content, low-cost content, wanted to not be geographically bound, have the convenience of being able to look at different places from around the country, have opportunities to expand narratives, and have no time constraints. But they were worried about lack of physical immersion and lack of textual definition of artifacts. So I came up with a couple of personas to embody our audiences. I expect that there are going to be a lot of educators who are very interested in this because it allows them to have their students engage in different ways of learning. And additionally, just the average student slash enthusiast people. So market facts, how big is this market? It is a $50 billion market. 75% of US leisure travelers go to museums and are willing to spend up to 60% more than most travelers will. More people visited museums in 2018 than for sports events. 55 million students visit the museum each year in a non-pandemic year. And $2 billion is squirreled away for education activities across the US. And it is one of the American public considers museums to be the most trustworthy source of information, regardless of political affiliation. The competitive analysis. So I wanted to find out, like, who are potential competitors? Is anyone else doing this? Right now, for the most part, institutions are kind of coming up with their own things and they're very siloed. So they're almost competing against each other right now. There is Google Arts and Culture, but Google Arts and Culture only has currently right now maybe like 35-ish institutions in its, library of things that you can look at. So it's very limited. There are also things like Carapano and Google 364 that could potentially turn into competitors, but right now they're mostly focused on the real estate market. The next steps. What makes Virtuarium different? The idea is that there's currently no true marketplace for museum tours, no place for you to easily discover tours. And the whole point is to be able to support museums through donations and subscriptions, and allow museums to also have a support system to help us create and design different tours through resources, guides, software support. And visitors can tour museums no matter where their geographic location is, whether it's a pandemic year or not. And what happens next? So the whole point of this is that how will the money be used? It's going to go towards completing research on how to move forward and developing an actual business plan that we can actually use and create an MVP for the website and pushing it forward. Questions?
Judges, really not downgrade you guys, judges, but like
So what's going to happen when the pandemic ends and then people want to actually go to museums versus the virtual?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm imagining that at some point in time you see a museum online or someplace across the country and you decided that you weren't going to go to make a specific trip to a specific city just to go see the museum, right? So museums, despite the fact that they are the super cool thing that lots of people like to visit, most people are going to make a specific trip just for one museum. And on top of that, a lot of education, if you're a teacher or you're a school district, you can't just travel across the country to take your students on a field trip to go see one as well. So I imagine that there's still going to be a lot of people who want to travel from their home. But yeah.
So have you talked to any of the museums themselves? Because in the past, they've been very reluctant to want to their artwork online. And so putting it in a virtual space, like are they going to be receptive?
That's a great question. That's part of the research that I want to continue pushing forward on. I have not gotten to interact with museums yet, but that is my next step.
Talk a little bit about your idea for the business model, specifically how one of the things that I noticed was that for customers wanted access to your so what, is there a monetization strategy or profit space, or are you
right now, I'm thinking that it could potentially be nonprofit, not nonprofit, subscription-based or for all of our options, but I'm also considering nonprofit as well. I personally want to do some more research and try to figure out what makes the most sense, and that's going to benefit museums and those can benefit the audiences.
I was just curious, what anybody else talk back here? What do you feel has been your biggest hurdle going through all this?
My biggest hurdle, I am unfortunately new to this. I literally just started this process in the spring. So I think my biggest hurdle has been just like learning how to navigate things and not really knowing my next step. I'm completely new to writing.
All right, thank you again, Erica. All right, we are going to introduce our third finalist, Simply Autumn LLC. This is a retail e-commerce business in the beauty, skin, and wellness industry. By using data input by customers, Simply Autumn LLC creates a skincare profile that highlights products that will benefit customers individually. So please help me welcome VCU's Interdisciplinary Studies Program and VCU Da Vinci Center alumni, Autumn Jones with Simply Autumn.
All right, well, my name is Autumn. I own Simply Autumn LLC, and I want to empower your self-care experience. So moving forward, today I want you to take away a few things. Who I am, some key findings, seeing my demo, and what my axe is. So who am I? I launched Simply Autumn with physical products back in August 2020. Simply Autumn basically highlights the skincare education and basically a personalized self-care experience. And with that being said, I'm actually over here. So when it says your self-care experience and skincare education, through my research, a lot of people found that they're doing these multi-step skincare routines, and they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing it because they see it on social media, but there is an actual need to know why I'm doing this. So I did want to highlight a couple of my competitors. So Trove Skin, Charm, and Perfect Corp. So Trove basically has product recommendations and does your skincare progression. They track where your skin is. Charm does basically the same thing. However, they just built a women community around like your skincare experience. And Perfect Corp is a AI skincare analysis. But Simply Autumn wants to go further than that because skincare isn't just skincare. Through my research and user interviews, it goes into your entire self-care experience. So when I ask you how your self-care experience is, you're going to mention, oh, I did a mask or I did something to make myself feel good and relaxed. So a couple market factors that I wanted to bring to the table was there's a 135 billion market spending within the skincare market from Mintel 2020's report. A couple of drivers of that is the sustainability innovations, the greater need for relaxation, of course, pandemic, and then the on-the-go lifestyle, especially because my target audience is the ones that are on the go. They want to do that research, but they might not have all the time to do it, or they might not know where to start. Some things that I did want to highlight were the two key factors of what customers don't, they struggle with their buying habits when it comes to, is this product have harmful ingredients or can I trust them? Basically, they just want to know if it works and if it's going to help them relax. So some key findings and values that I want to bring to the table is tracking the skin health progress on top of your wellness activities. So whether that is your water intake, how much sleep you've had, when is your menstrual cycle, are you expecting? That all plays a role in your skincare. And it's not just, oh, I used a product and it had a negative reaction on me. I want to bring to the forefront of discovering informative information because we do live in an age of influencers, and all the time, a company might send an influencer a PR package 2 weeks. They're going to tell you they love their product and they probably haven't even used it. So through my interviews, I found that they don't find influencers that trustworthy. And then product tracking. So through my research and interviews and surveys, I've learned that people usually keep a mental note of what's working for them and what's not working for them, but they don't have a place where they say, oh, this ingredient caused me to have a negative reaction. So they might use a different product with a different name, but it has the same ingredients. So it might cause them to have the same reaction. So if you take the time to pull your phone out really quick, thank you. This is my demo. So if you want to go there, you can see what my prototype currently looks like. Oh, let me go back just in case anyone wants to. And this is a live prototype using Figma. And my ask is I'm seeking funding to support my research and development and mentorship. And this goes for anybody that's in the crowd as well. And let's connect. And that is my LinkedIn website and my email. Thank you.
Thank you, Alma. I would like to ask you a question first. Good, all right.
This is really fun. Thanks for sharing all this. Kind of two questions. I know you mentioned your target market is on the go.
Yes.
First, what are you doing to reach those folks? And I'm excited to kind of go through this. Can you tell us a little more, like, do you use an algorithm or your process for that?
So currently, since I was able to launch Simply Autumn last summer with physical products, I'm actually housing a skincare university, and I'm using those metrics to do an A/B testing and see how they actually react to me giving them knowledge, and then connecting with actual professionals, because I am still learning as I go. So I'm trying to build that trust as well. So I do want to get to the point where I can market this into like an app store or something like that. But currently, I'm still in the testing and research phase.
With the focus on sort of the on the go user, have you ascertained the degree to which they are looking for sort of an additional step with the documentation and beyond that with the roadmaps? We started to get an idea of the degree to which your key customers interested in paying and an idea of what that charge is.
As far as a pricing framework, I'm gonna have to get back to you with that because I haven't gone that far with my research. But as far as interviews gone, majority of my user interviews and surveys have said that they either take a mental note or they jotted down their notes and things like that because they are on the go. So they do want things that work for them. They do want things to make them feel relaxed. But as of right now, it is hard for them to research to find the time to do that. And they don't like churning through product because they see that as wasteful as well.
And I know you some of your past records. So is this something that you see being a supplement to the physical products that you would be sort of working on, or is it something that is sort of
That's a good question. So this will be open to all products and not just Simply Autumn. Because I do want to involve product recommendation as well to cross okay, this ingredient is in this product as well.
Yeah, so on the ingredient part, just the people try a product and find it doesn't work. How do you believe they want to be actually? Like, is that part of the information?
Yes. Okay. So currently right now I am building, and it's currently active as well, a skincare glossary. So with all my products that I currently sell, it actually reroutes you to the specific product. As far as like a reaction, currently I don't have the ability to say like this ingredient caused you to have this reaction, but I do want to refine and narrow down the ingredient list to help you out.
All right, you guys give it up again.
Thank you.
And Autumn, I will say, You kept your, you too, but you kept your poise. I want to put that out because what happened before you started, that would have damaged the most professional folks to come up here. So I just want to applaud you for keeping that composure. You did that. That's all I want to say. All right, so we're going to introduce our fourth finalist, the Network Incubator. Oops, yeah, you know, y'all don't even need time for the mic in now. You gotta The Network Incubator is a creative think tank where entrepreneurs, creatives, and professionals connect, create, and collaborate to brainstorm business ideas and challenges within dynamic group settings. So please help me welcome Humanities and Sciences and L. Douglas Wilder School of Government and Public Affairs alumna, Ayana McMullen, with the Network Incubator.
Well, hello, entrepreneurs, let's chat. Does this resemble you? Yes. You got the talent, you have the education, you have the experience, but you're still not making moves in your business. I was that person who was sitting solo at my desk on a day-to-day basis, trying to muddle through my next steps without a team or without the resources. I was that person in incubation spaces or networking spaces where they didn't look, talk, or dress like me. And because they didn't look, talk, and dress like me, they didn't value my education and experiences. I was that person who kind of felt a little funny about making cold introductions and hoping to make a connection. And so I wanted a space that was more collaborative. I wanted a space where I could be my authentic self. I wanted a space where the nitty-gritty of my business was being talked about. And so I had an idea that sparked in my head. If I'm thinking like this, then other entrepreneurs must be feeling this way as well. And so in 2019, the Network Incubator was birthed. What is it? I'm glad you asked. It's a creative think tank for entrepreneurs, creatives, and professionals where they brainstorm their business ideas and challenges in dynamic group settings. We currently focus on under-resourced entrepreneurs in startup phase, but in order for the incubator to thrive, we need every industry and every level of business to participate in this collaborative effort. What's the problem? So we've identified that entrepreneurs are isolated, or under-resourced entrepreneurs are isolated. They lack resources. Did you know that only 3% of Black, Latino, and women-owned businesses receive funding? They received 3% of venture capital funding in 2020. They hit planning roadblocks because they usually don't have a team. High networking association fees can cost anywhere between $400 to $600 a year. And for under-resourced entrepreneurs, they're inherently strapped. They're inherently strapped for cash. And they have challenges making connections. It may not be offered in their area, and it might be outside of their cultural paradigm. So what's the solution? The 3 C's of the Network Incubator. We want to connect diverse ideas in one space because worldviews sparks innovation. We want to create spaces where creation connects the connection piece with collaboration. And we want to collaborate in an economically sustainable way where we're not harming. Our unique business model is a bottom-up approach. Participants discover the ideas for each thing to be discussed within the incubator. We have intuitive equitable encounters where everyone's voice is heard, and we make warm introductions and build relationships organically. We harness the power of the collective within this space where idea sharing, resource sharing, and information sharing all held within the incubator. And there's an intersection of corporations and entrepreneurs. Over 90% of corporations believe that in this innovative space, it is imperative that they collaborate with entrepreneurs. How it works, so pretty. So they check in, grab some coffee, post their idea or challenge on a whiteboard. These challenges are then divided into categories. These categories determine our breakout groups. Within the breakout groups, we discuss ideas and challenges. Once these are done, table takeaways are shared with the entire incubator, and we open it up for networking where you can swap information, and collaboration is happening outside of the incubator. So our impact, we have served or reached 266 unique businesses. 53% of those businesses are minority owned, and 65% are women owned businesses. So I'm proud to say that the Network Incubator looks like me. What are people saying about the incubator? They're saying that it's like a monthly mastermind where they can receive actionable strategies when they walk away, and that it's a collaborative, supportive community. Since our pilot in May 2019, we have grown exponentially. When we pivoted online in March 2020, we have reached an international audience, reaching over 17 states and 15 countries. We are scaling and ready to grow by building funding and capacity. In 2022, we plan to be a nonprofit. We also want to get a national trademark, and we also want to build a solid revenue model for our participants to scale our business. So now you can see I'm not alone anymore, and that the Network Incubator works.
Thank you.
You guys give it up for you have any?
Can you talk a little bit about where you're operating today and your how you have kind of set up those the kind of events that you're hosting now, and your plans to kind of expand those geographically?
Where are we located? We're online right now because we pivoted online in March, like a lot of businesses. We were originally at the Capital One Cafe in Carytown, which hosted us there. But like I said, we pivoted online, and you said, where do we hope to go?
Yeah, just your growth, your sort of geographic. I wasn't thinking about online. Do you have plans for sort of physical?
Yes, like a lot of other organizations, we plan to be in like hybrid spaces if possible, because we know we have an international audience. We can't just say, no, we're not gonna have that anymore. So we're streamlining how we can do that, whether we have it still online or in person, or hopefully for me, I would love to have hybrid spaces where we can do that.
Who would you say your competition is?
Well, there are organizations that do similar things. Because I'm meshing networking and incubation together, we have like Lighthouse Labs, which is in this space, Startup Virginia, RVA Works. Some retail merchants associations may, have some networking components in like chambers of commerce. They do similar, but they're not meshing the two like we are.
Very cool, yeah, I like the women of the minority percentages, that's great, we do a lot of that.
Love it, thank you.
Yeah, in terms of that, the underserved and minority representation, how different is your numbers compared to like your competition?
That's something that we still have to do research on, because the Network Incubator quite honestly grew so quickly, so fast. At some point, it seemed like we were catching up, because when we first started, we started with 9 people, and in 3 months, we had 25 coming through the doors, and then we pivoted online. So that's something we still have to do some research.
Just the two of you that
That's just a friend. Actually, the Network Incubator is 100% volunteer sponsored. We've received over like $65,000 in in-kind donations in the past 2 years. So we're 100% volunteer work at the moment.
All right, awesome. Give it up to the Network Incubator. Well, you guys are amazing. Somebody asked me what my competition is. I go, none. But that's why I'm not up here, because that's what I would answer. All right, we still doing all right? Still doing good. All right, the wine is still going to be there at the end. I promise you guys, there's wine at the end. Yes. So our 5th and final finalist for this evening comes to us from Light Switch Bio LLC. This is a preclinical stage spinoff from the VCU Massey Cancer Center that develops photoactivated chemotherapeutics that minimize the side effects and associated financial costs of conventional chemotherapies by focusing their activity within tumors using a laser device. Please help me welcome College of Engineering alumni Alex Ratty with Light Switch Bio LLC.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Had some really impressive things today. I want to talk to you about what we've been working on for the past 3 years. So we're looking to phase out side effects of laser precision medicine. So most medicines, they have really nasty side effects, and chemotherapy, especially nasty side effects. What we're doing is we're taking those really toxic drugs and add photoagent, and what that does is makes it inactive in the body, so that we can piece it with the laser device and target its activity just. And depending on the photoagent we use, it can also release extra toxicity or just added we have developed a team of 4 people, the core team of Lightswitch Bio, and together we have 65 years of experience in this area, mostly everybody but me. And we've formed a few collaborations with people throughout Massive Cancer Center. Our focus is really on head and neck cancer right now, but we're also expanding a bit into mesothelioma. Mesothelioma is a lung cancer, and head and neck cancer. And the drug that we're working to repurpose that treats those and a lot of other cancers is cisplatin. It's been around as an approved drug since like the 70s. It's known to be extremely toxic, and there's a whole bunch of derivatives based off of cisplatin that have less toxicity than are used to try and get around that issue. And head and neck cancer is one of those cancers that is hardest to treat. It's really devastating for the patients. Usually they have to get surgery and probably scarification. And even when they get surgery or radiation to try and minimize symptoms, they still get cisplatin on top of that to prevent recurrence, just to try everything. But that has really nasty side effects. So some patients, they have to discontinue. So what we're doing is inactivating that so the patient can avoid all the side effects, just get the therapy where they should. This is also known as the penicillin of cancer because it treats so many different types of cancer. The platinum therapy family of chemotherapies that are based off of cisplatin treat 10 to 20% of all cancer patients. And when a patient has to stop receiving treatment, it doesn't just mean they have to move on to another drug. It hurts their prognosis. It increases the effort that physicians have to put into to find alternatives and to deal with those side effects with mitigation strategies and other treatments, which adds the expense for insurers and families and the patients themselves, usually other people. And all of that gets translated into poor market capture for pharmaceuticals. So if your drug is causing really nasty side effects, some patients just won't want to take it. We're finding that what we've heard in physicians that if prognosis gets down to 3 or 6 months, patients just they don't want to carry any treatment. They want to use whatever time they have left. And so what we're doing is trying to get around some of the downfalls of different options for therapy of skin cancers and neck cancers. Systemic therapy, chemotherapy, it's poison. It kills everything, but you just want it to kill the cancer faster. And so that's where the off-target side effects, those harmful side effects come from. You can try and get around that with topical therapy, just putting it on the outside of the tumor and hope that it gets absorbed enough, but it's really hard to dose those and don't know if it gets down deeper. There's a new technique, not really super new, but it's phototherapy. We're adding phototherapy to therapy. We're getting really, really good results so far. Small numbers of mice, but it's really impressive. On the left is a Kaplan-Meier plot. That's a survival plot. So we have IR platinum with near infrared light at the top, and we're seeing that the percentage of mice, the tumor goes away from it. We try to put the tumor back in the mice, and it won't regrow. And on the right, we're looking at tumor volume over time after treatment, and we're using 1/20th of the molecular amount of platinum to achieve this effect. Even when we don't activate the plate, we're getting better results and cisplatin. When we activate the plate, we get a big problem. but I want to emphasize it's a small number of tests. And it works great. So because this is a photo-activated drug, it's also fluorescent. And when we dose, we can see where it is. And then we can know exactly where it is. And so we're working on a procedure that can allow us to diagnose and treat potentially cancer in one procedure. And because this works for so many different types of cancers, this is based on so many types of cancer, it works for so many types of cancer. This represents a pipeline of product. So if we can prove it in one, then we can more rapidly develop the others. And this can affect patient care for a lot of people. We have this drug, Iofine, protected for the United States and European Union, which is about 2/3 of the global market for cancer. And this is roughly our strategy to develop. And amongst the landscape of cancer therapies, our main competitors are Racutin and Theralase, photoimmune therapy. This is a contract research organization where other pharmaceutical manufacturers will basically give us a drug to repurpose, we repurpose it, give it back to them. Hopefully we can do this for more than just this platform.
All right, we can figure out that out. Ask me a question first. Just like, what are you doing this weekend? Because I really want to see, like, I have a question for every slide. Like,
I had to have a lot of slides too. Can you just talk a little bit about where you are in the, I know that some biomedical research companies involved lots of stages of trial. Talk a little bit about where you are in that stage between sort of the research and development and then the actual commercialization.
Yeah, so we're developing a photoactive therapy. As far as we can tell, that's never gone through FDA approval. So we're still trying to define the exact regulatory pathway. We've gone through combination product pre-request for designation meetings, and they've said we need to first get regulated as a drug. So now we're talking to them to figure out the exact pathway, but we're thinking it's going to be regulated pro drug. And so now we're setting up for pre-investigational drug. And just trying to define exactly what tests we need to get that. Thank you.
This is used in tandem with the chemo as well, or is this in place?
It really depends on the patient, but it could be used with radiation, it could be used with surgery. We would want to use it as an alternative to chemotherapy, but there are a lot of different contexts for that. But I don't know if it's
How long is this, like, how long is the, like, the next thing? This is very long process. Very long, right? That you,
figure out that timeline. So once we figure out the pathway, then we can determine exactly what experiments we need to do and figure out the timeline. But once we get approved, I don't want to put words in the mouth either, but like from our conversations with them, it seemed like once we get approved as a drug, if we get approved, and we can get shifted to a device that will be pursue that whole pipeline much faster than we did for the typical timeline for devices is a couple of years, 5 years for drug development.
Thank you all so much. This will pill with a light switch on. Let me tell you something. I love me a good logo. That works. Yes, it, like, come on, light bulb. I was just going with a switch, but you. Okay, thank you all so much. Let's give a huge round of applause to all of our finalists this evening. So judges, I'm being told you all are going to leave the room to deliberate. Did you guys know that you, okay, so make sure you knew that you were leaving the room here, okay? And so for my folks here in the room, we're gonna take this time to allow you to vote for the Alumni Pitch Competition Fan Favorite Award. So whether you are here in person or attending with us virtually, we would like you to take the time to join us in voting for the VCU Alumni Pitch Competition Fan Favorite. As you see on the screen, as soon as it appears, you can scan the QR code to vote or type in your internet browser, slido.com, so SLIDO.com, and enter the code pound 13052. Again, that is pound 13052, and it's right here on the screen. All right, guys, so while you're voting and before we reveal the winner of the Fan Favorite Award, we're actually going to hear from one half of Spirit Inc. Elliot Rolfe, the winner of last year's pitch competition, to see where is a Spirit Aspire. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Where Spirit is now.
Spira had the good fortune of winning the last year's VCU Alumni Pitch Competition, and I am proud and honored to be a VCU alumni together with my co-founder Surjan Singh. We ended up attending VCU College of Engineering in 2015 and 2017 respectively, and we owe a lot to Richmond and the environment that VCU had fostered in order to enable us to start our company Spira, which works to create carbon negative materials from algae, working with a global network of farms to produce these ingredients for food, cosmetic, and textile companies. Now, this past year has been quite strange, and it is a testament to everyone's hard work, perseverance, and really just kind of the tenacity that is engendered in the Richmond ecosystem, that some of these companies that are presenting today end up really being emblematic of that kind of perseverance. And so I hope all of you are really proud of how far you've come and really enjoy presenting to the greater alumni community and showcasing how much you've actually learned and grown over the past year. Since Spira presented last year in the alumni competition, we've doubled our team. We are now almost net break even, which is pretty exciting. We're about ready to release some new products that we've been working on, in particular a protein isolate from algae, as well as a natural red colorant, which complements our blue pigment that is already selling in the marketplace. We have dozens of brand new clients, as well as a brand new research laboratory that we're working on within a 400,000 square foot incubator space here in the Port of Los Angeles called Altaseed. So very exciting time for Spira. We are currently hiring and looking for additional people to come join our team, help grow what we're doing, and have raised some additional capital and are constantly looking for new investors to help support our mission to replace some of the petrochemical and animal compounds that are currently in the supply chain. So if you're interested in helping out, please reach out to info@spirainc.com in order to get in touch. And I really look forward to hearing the pitches, and good luck to all the participants. Thank you.
We are alumni out here doing some good work. So yes, like you said, info@spirainc.com. It's Spira Inc. on all social media platforms as well. So SPIRAINC. All right. So are we ready for our next person? Okay, awesome. So I know you guys are still eager to, find out who won that Fan Favorite Award, but we have one more person to come and talk with us this evening. And so we will now hear from, right? Video as well. More videos. I love it. Why didn't I do this from home? What? I'm just kidding. I'm happy to risk it all. All right, we're going to now hear from our friends at the Da Vinci Center. Tell us a little bit more about the wonderful Shift Retail Lab we are in right now and the plans for the future.
Thank you all for attending the annual Alumni Pitch Competition. My name is Garrett Westlake, and I'm the Executive Director of the Da Vinci Center for Innovation here at VCU. Here at the Da Vinci Center, we are prototyping the future of higher education through new programs, academic and co-curricular. Where some of you all tonight is in Shift, the retail lab at VCU. This is the classroom of the future. We are so excited for those of you that are in person, and we're even more excited for those of you that are virtual tonight, that you're going to have the chance soon to come check out this phenomenal new space on the VCU campus. This is a space where current students and alumni are going to be able to sell product directly to the public, showcase new ideas, host events, and really be a key meeting space between students and the community for the city of Richmond and the region. We opened this space just last night for the ribbon cutting, as you can see behind me. So it's a really exciting time to be able to host you all so soon after opening this dynamic new space. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about as we opened this new retail lab was the fact that we teach design thinking among many other things like product innovation in the Da Vinci Center. And there's a story about product innovation that has really been resonating with me lately because it reminds me a lot of higher education. You know, one of the classic examples is we do a lot of looking at what Tesla has done to disrupt the automotive industry. And one of the takeaways that I have from Tesla is if you look at their newest products, they use human-centered design in what they're doing. And my favorite example is the Cybertruck. Now, say what you will about what the Cybertruck looks like. There's one really important feature about this new Tesla truck. When you look at that Tesla truck, the tailgate of the truck flips down like a normal truck would and outslides a telescoping ramp. Now, the reason Tesla built a ramp into the bed of their tailgate was so that you could haul things, because pickup trucks have been around for over 100 years to help us haul things. And yet, despite the 100-year-plus history of trucks, most of the innovations that have involved the rear end of a truck have been a little step that flips down off the back bumper. Not very innovative, despite companies having worked on it for hundreds of years, right? So what Tesla did was they looked at what do their customers need? What do their customers want? How do people use a pickup truck? And they realized they used it to haul things. So they built a ramp to make it easier. I'm so proud to work for an institution like VCU that's connected to its students so that when we looked around at our campus and said, what could we do to serve the next generation of student entrepreneurs, of student innovators, to be a good partner with the Richmond community? The same way that Tesla saw that a truck could really use a ramp, we decided that a retail lab and a community lab right here in downtown Richmond, across from the Siegel Center, was exactly what our students and community needed. So where you are tonight, where you're seeing this tonight, is an innovation that is the first of its kind in the entire country. No other university has created a space like this to meet the needs of their students and to be prepared for the future. So it is my pleasure to welcome you to this new space tonight. I'm so glad you've gotten to engage it. I am equally as excited to hear the judges' feedback in just a couple minutes to find out who won. And a huge shout out to those of you, to those diehard entrepreneurs who are doing the real work of the hustle and were there last night for the grand opening of Shift, selling product. I know some of you competing tonight were actually selling product because people were showing it to me. And you're back tonight competing again. So kudos to you for living that founder life 24/7, 365. In closing, I just want to say, please reach out to the Da Vinci Center if you have ideas on how we could engage around this new space. We are most excited that we have yet to really fully understand the impact of this new innovation. We believe fully in iterative design. So while we are thrilled that this new space is open, I think what excites us most is for what comes next. How will this space shift in the future? How will this space shift
what education looks like, what retail looks like, and what a university's commitment to its alumni and its community looks like. So please, let me know what happens from the judges as soon as you can. Somebody text me or something. I'm sorry I can't be there live with you tonight, but I am anxiously awaiting the results like the rest of you. Thank you so much again, and I look forward to seeing you all in shift in the near future.
I want to age the crowd a little bit. Who is here pre-Schaefer Dining Hall? Yeah, the three of us hating what y'all got now. The three of us despise all of you and your Da Vinci's and your all of it, all the new stuff. Okay, you know, we got Siegel Center and we called it West Broad Apartments. It wasn't Apple, it was West Broad Apartments. You know, we got did you see the pre-GRC? We don't, like, the three of us, don't talk to us if you have experienced this wonderful university for what it is today, because we are bitter. I'm here to tell you, okay? Bitter, okay? All right, so are you guys ready to hear who won the fan favorite award? Ooh, come on, Vanna, yes. All right, you guys give it up for Victoria. Congratulations, Erica. Oh, congratulations. Oh, okay. I still think it's funny that I smile behind man. I don't want to mess nobody's dreams up. First and foremost, I want to give a round of applause for our judges again. I'm sure this is not easy. All right, so the $450 winner for today is going to be Victoria. Come on. Okay. Aqua cheese. Our $700 winner is going to be Simply Autumn. Yes, I don't get it. Yes, congratulations. All right. Our $950 winner is going to be Light Switch Bio. It's the floor. Click. Okay. All right. And we are now at $1,200. Yes, so our $1,200 winner is going to be the Network Incubator. I'm smiling real hard at that one. Make sure you put a smiley face over on that stuff. All right. So without further ado, our grand prize winner of this evening's pitch competition is going to be Ditto. All right, again, let's give all of our finalists a round of applause. Please, and I'm not going to hand the mic over to the lady y'all have been seeing just all here tonight. You guys give it up for Letitia Taylor.
First, on behalf of Alumni Relations, I would like to just thank all of our participants again for their presentations this evening. This is hard work, y'all, and it takes a lot to stand in front of you all this evening, whether it's 5 people or 100 people. So I just want to give a round of applause to all of them, if you all don't mind. Your hands will fall off. You guys are all great and made this year's VCU pitch competition a huge success. I also want to thank our sponsors one more time. Lighthouse Labs, EY, and Conventus. Without your support, this great event would not be possible. So thank you so much. Finally, thank you to our judges. It is also not easy for you. It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. So our judges, David Waltwell, Christina Gunter, and Berwin Hun. Thank you all for your time this evening. And of course, our hostess with the mostest for this evening. Can we give it up for Dr. Faith Wilkinson? So again, thank you all so much for attending tonight. We greatly appreciate it. With the little time that we do have, we do want you all to hang out, enjoy some food, some drinks, courtesy of us. It is free, so please partake. And network with fellow alumni and business owners. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope you'll join us next year. Thank you all so much.